Welcome to our Alone Season 7 pre-finale Q&A. I'm Colby Donaldson, here today with three very special guests. We have Britt Ahart, Season 3, Season 5. Our own Callie Russell from this season, Season 7. Hi, Callie. And the man, Jordan Jonas from Season 6. Hi, everyone. How we doing today, Jordan?
Great, doing great. Got some good Wi-Fi at the library.
It looks like nice, shiny, sunny weather you have there today.
Oh, yeah. It's a beauty.
All right, Jordan, give us a little intro about you, my man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the background.
I grew up here not far from where I am now in a little town called Athol, Idaho. And now I spent a bunch of years living in Siberia with native reindeer herding nomads, and then went on alone. Season 6. Now I'm here.
Now you're back. Britt, your turn. Why don't you give us a little introduction on you?
I'm from Virginia originally, last 15 years here in Ohio, former Boy Scout, love the outdoors, student of whatever I can get my hands on, and somehow that found me on 2 seasons of Alone, where I, took the tools I had and did the best I could.
Excellent. Callie, girl, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm up here in Montana with my goats.
There he is.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wait, does that goat have a name?
Yeah, this is Catan. Oh, dear.
Catan. Love
it. Yeah, this is Catan. And yeah, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, but came up to Montana as a kid because that's where my dad's from. And grew up a mainstream life in the city. And I just realized that I was most happy outside and decided that I was going to figure out a way to live in the wilderness, but I didn't have any of those skills. And so I committed my whole adult life to learning what I needed to learn so I could actually live out in the wilderness. And here I am.
Here you are. Well, thank you, and thank all three of you for joining us today. Let's get right into this. Let's have some fun. The first thing we're going to do is watch a clip, and this is from Amos when his shelter caught on fire.
Oh. That's when I tapped out. Oh my God. Trying to get out of here. Do not, please. Come here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I got my stuff out, most of it, I think. Did I throw the phone out? And this sound freaking real. I turned around for 1 second, and when I looked up, the whole freaking shelter is on fire, man. Oh, my feather got a little char. Then my lungs hurt. Oh my God. I can't believe the timing of it. I guess it was my time to leave.
Wow. I mean, one of you commented during the clip, it's stressful just to watch that.
Yep.
Jordan, I mean, this has happened before. It happened to Nathan on your season. How close to this danger are you at all times throughout this experience?
Well, yeah, it's definitely always a potential. You're like, living in an old dried up Christmas tree. So you got
I mean, it is literally a tinder box that you're in, and you've got to have that, you got to have that fire inside. Callie, I'm curious, any close calls for you during your season?
No, I didn't have any close calls with fire in the shelter. I knew from watching Jordan's season that was a high potential, especially up there in that dry cold. So I went to great lengths to build a stone fireplace that I felt really comfortable and safe with. So that fireplace made it pretty safe, but I did have to be careful on really windy nights. Sometimes the wind would come in through the chimney and blow into the shelter. And so those nights I made sure just to make sure the fire was out really well before I went to go to sleep.
Yeah. Britt, how about you? Any dealings similar to this where it was a concern for you?
I mean, like you said, it's always a concern. I mean, considering what we're building our shelters out of. I came close in Argentina because I had a larger fire than I should have, and I had moss starting to get singed around my, the upper portion of my shelter. So in Mongolia, I made a Dakota fire pit, which was a small depression, but the downside of that is I wasn't very warm. So it was always something I was thinking about because it's kind of scary just to have something like this happen to Amos.
Well, and the other thing I want to touch on with all three of you in this clip, which is amazing to me, you guys are taught, and it's hammered into you before you go out there on this experience. If you don't film it, it doesn't happen, right? If you don't capture it on the camera, then it doesn't happen. And Amos, this is one of the best examples of that I've ever seen. This wasn't as though he wanted to set up the camera on the tripod. He's got equipment he's trying to get out of there, but he knows it's part of the experience. And so tell me about that, each one of you. And Jordan, I'll go with you first. Just knowing that you've got to set a camera up or have a camera filming on something as traumatic and stressful as trying to put this fire out. Obviously, priority one is getting that fire out, but you got to document the thing with the camera the whole time, right?
Oh yeah, it's an interesting, somehow they must drill it into you pretty good, because I remember in my situation also, when I had that first shot at that first moose, I just grabbed my camera and my bow and arrow rather than my quiver. And then I got over there and had one arrow. I was like, oh, man, they grilled it in there. But they, you end up, it's part of your way of life almost. You're just like filming everything, and it does become one of the first things you think about. And Amos did an awesome job, which is cool, because that's the whole point of the thing, really, is to document it and have good footage. And good for him, because that's a stressful situation where it'd be easy to just skip it. Yeah,
sure. Callie, and you did a good job documenting, one of them is just the injury and in your eye, and then showing that and working with the mirror there. But did it become second nature to know you had to self-document, with a video the whole time?
Yeah, it definitely did. The camera became like your little infant child that you had to just carry around and baby all the time and make sure it had batteries and memory cards. And so you kind of just learn to care for the camera and keep it with you. But even still, there's moments where I'm like, just your survival, that you are in a real survival situation, and tending to the camera could mean the difference of a disaster happening or being avoided. I mean, I know when I was walking on the slippery rocks down to the water, I wanted to be filming it, but I knew that if I had the camera in my backpack, I'd be much safer. So you're always gauging a cool shot, but doing what is safe, which is having two hands to be able to walk and move and navigate places. So it's definitely a delicate balance.
Right. Britt, out of your two seasons, is there one time that stands out in your mind when you were really frustrated with the fact that you had to video and document the whole time?
Yeah, when I was chasing that deer floating down the river.
Yeah.
That was frustrating because the part that didn't make it, I originally had my camera set up on the tripod. It started tipping over. I was running away, but I didn't go back. I'm just stumbling up and down the beach, trying to aim my at it. And, for the sake of capturing the moment, maybe some things were compromised, but that's the name of the show. So,
yeah. Well, I think everyone in general does a really good job of making sure to get the footage that production needs in order to put together a hell of a show each and every season. All right, let's get into some of the fan questions, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
Jordan, you're on deck here, brother. This question comes from Drew Irwin. He says, Jordan, loved watching you. Would you and your brother ever do another season of Alone?
Oh, hey, Drew. Me and my brother, that's a good question. That would be awesome. Yeah, stick us out there. I was going to say, well, maybe we'll see. But if it's a me and my brother situation, then heck yeah. That would be a blast. But yeah.
Well, on the outset, it seems as though it'd be easier having a partner there like that. And I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but is there something that comes to mind that would make it more challenging having him there?
Well, you do have to provide more resources. So, yeah, you have to double all your income or whatever of resources. And so, yeah, in a way it's more challenging, but it sounds like a lot of fun also. But, yeah, no, I mean, I would definitely consider it if they ever decide to do one of those team things again. And yeah, there's definitely inherent challenges.
So for the record,
the more people got to need.
Yeah, for the record here, then you are not opposed to it and you are open to the idea. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Callie,
because one moose isn't enough for two people, right?
Yeah. You do have to stretch the resources, but in terms of, the firewood that your fire is going to be the same, right? And procuring firewood, there are some of those things that you would divide by two. Yeah. Okay, Callie, your question. This one's coming from Susan Jensen. She says, Callie, you are strong. You're an amazing woman. How do you stay so focused? I have been rooting for you the whole time, she says.
Oh, well, thanks for the kind words, Susan. And staying focused, I think out there, it's actually a little bit easier to stay focused. In the modern world, there's all these different things I feel like I'm juggling all the time. But out there, the focus is simple: food, fire, water, shelter. And my goal out there was to be as present as possible. And so that was my goal, is to always be more present in the moment. And so focus, it was easy. There's not a lot of distractions. The only distractions, the camera and the med checks. Really, everything else is right there all the time.
You said it, the distractions, and I think it's a great lesson. We should all find a way to practice a little bit. Is just removing or reducing some of those daily distractions that we all have, and certainly that's a part of that experience for you guys getting out there. Okay, Britt. This question comes from Wayne. What was the hardest thing you had to overcome while in the wilderness? Most difficult?
In the end, for me, the hardest thing, also thanks, Wayne. The hardest thing for me in the end was definitely the isolation. I never experienced that to the extreme that I did when I was on Alone for both seasons. So I got kind of accustomed to starving and being cold and, the tediousness of documenting everything. But in the end, it was just not being able to share anything with anybody or, receive companionship or acknowledgement from anybody. So it was the isolation for me.
And does that isolation take its toll psychologically, Britt, for you?
Absolutely, psychologically. I could feel myself undergoing changes and it was hard to deal with those being by myself. So yeah, it changed me in a lot of ways for the better, I hope to think.
Jordan, what was the most difficult thing for you in your experience?
I think it was the unknown amount of time we're out there. I think that, Callie said it well, and that you really want to live in the present and just focus on the present, really. And there's so much to be grateful for usually. But when you start thinking about the future, and I would think about, oh gosh, what if this goes on 6-8 months? Am I going to be willing to not see my little kids that long? And so then you start thinking, or do I have enough food to last that long? You start stretching it way out in your imagination and worrying about the future. And then, of course, those things never came to fruition in in hindsight, you're like, oh, I didn't need to stress at all. And so
Yeah,
really like that living in the present is very valuable. And I think having that like big question mark at the end, like how long was for me that led to the hardest mental, aspect of it.
So, okay. So Jordan, continuing on that note then, do you think a season like this season where there's a definitive timeline, you got to be out there 100 days, not to say that 100 days is easy by any stretch, but do you like the format of knowing how long that tenure must be in order to take home the prize money?
Yeah, I mean, do I like the format in that? Yeah, I would have definitely chosen that, I think, because it does like, it's no easier to get to 100 days knowing that it's 100 days. You still have to somehow get there. But in my particular situation, when I had like a moose, it was like, oh, then I could just calculate out each day what I need to eat and make it there. I didn't have to think, oh, what if somebody else gets a moose? And then this goes on like, months and months. And then if that's the case, I don't have enough food, so I need to get more. And, then you just think all these things and yeah, so it puts in a whole extra layers that, for me it would have been amazing to know there was an end date. But that is only in the case of having enough food. It doesn't make it any easier to make it 100 days. That's tough no matter what.
No question. Right. Yeah. Callie, I want to come to you with this sort of ties in what we were talking about with you in the absence of distractions, but something Jordan touched on in that left with enough time and that isolation, your mind goes to some places that maybe it wouldn't. So you begin to overthink or think of what if scenarios in a negative way. So yes, those distractions are removed, but is it challenging to be out there with at sometimes nothing but your thoughts? Because then those can take you to places or potential places that can be detrimental to what you're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And I think, when you're out there, you face every part of yourself, all your old memories, everything comes up. And so it's helpful if you've already spent a little bit of time alone, so you kind of know what to expect. You know how you are when you don't have distractions. And hopefully that there's some happy memories that you can reflect on too.
Yep.
And for me, what Jordan was saying, it is easy. I can really connect to what Jordan's saying. You start worrying about the future because out there, I just wanted to really immerse myself in the experience and not worry too much about the show. But of course I would. And there were things outside of my control. Like I went in pretty thin and I was worried that I was going to get pulled for weight sooner than I was ready to go. And early in the game, I felt really strong and felt great, but I knew that I was just a thin person. And so I started worrying a lot about getting pulled early because of weight. And those thoughts started to dominate my experience, which was hard, but it also, on the flip end, it gave me one of my peak moments of sort of awakening out there was this realization how much thinking about the future was robbing me of all the gifts in the present moment. And when I really felt the impact of that, I was able to let it go and not worry about the future. And it was right around the middle of my, right around day 50 in there is when I just let go of worrying about what was going to happen. And I just dropped in and I was like, whatever happens, happens. I'm just here and I'm going to appreciate every moment.
Okay. Before we take a sneak peek of a scene from the finale, from tonight's episode, Britt, I'm going to go to you on this. And this is, what Callie was talking about there in terms of those welfare checks, right? Let's pull back the curtain a little bit and give the fans and the viewers an idea. How often are those happening when you guys are out there? And like, I want you to touch on what Callie mentioned, which is there's a potential of getting pulled from the competition due to extreme loss of weight and several other factors. Tell us about that.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think the welfare checks were between like maybe 7 and 10 days. I never reached the point where I was worried about being pulled because of my body weight. I never got that emaciated, though I did lose like 50 pounds the second time I was there. But in terms of distracting, yeah, because, I got in the mindset that I was totally isolated and tried to block out anybody else out there existing besides myself. So then when they show up, it's kind of like, you hit a peak of like that interaction and the socialization and like, people are coming to see me. And then on the flip side, when they leave, I would delve deeper into my little pit of like, now I'm totally alone again. I need to stay out here as long as I can and just forget that there's other things existing besides me. So, I found those checks like more harmful than beneficial for me. I knew I was okay, and I'll call you guys when I really need you. So, yeah, they kind of hurt me, I think, more than they helped me.
Callie, do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I could really relate to that, Britt. I felt like I would get into my own rhythm out there and I'd be in a flow, and then the med checks would just mess me up. They messed up my mental game in so many ways, because you're just there alone, and then all of a sudden these people come in and they, then it would start to stress me out, like, oh, because they don't tell you. They're not like, oh, we're worried about this or that. Then you're wondering, are they, am I healthy? Do they think I'm unhealthy? And it would mess me up. And so I'd have to just try to forget about it. But it's hard because you don't have it.
Stressful.
Stressful.
And when they showed up, I was stressed.
I mean, look, and the worst part is, you're going to have company. So you got to make sure the floor's vacuumed and your dirty clothes are picked up off the floor. I mean, come on. That's not fun. Nobody wants to do that.
I reached whole new levels of stink out there.
Shout out to that helicopter pilot, but I bet it did a big old X in the snow for him to land on, and he nailed it. Came down on the X.
Say that again, Jordan. Wait, I missed that, Jordan. Say it again. What was that?
I was just laughing. Shout out to the Northwest Territories helicopter pilot guy, because during the med checks, I'd like put a big old X in the snow with, walk through the snow, and guide them in with sticks, and he'd right in on the X.
That's awesome.
Funny. That was hilarious.
That's cool. Okay, well, as I mentioned, we're about to take a sneak peek at a clip from tonight's episode. This one featuring our very own Callie. This is one we like to call Cajun Sparkle. Let's take a look.
Hello in there. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. It's another day in an Arctic paradise. Some of you guys might be wondering, what is up with Callie, man? Shouldn't she just be cold and miserable? Why is she happy and laughing all the time? What's up? Well, I gotta be honest. I have a secret. It's Cajun Sparkle. Yeah, that's right, Cajun Sparkle. So my sister Ravanna is amazing, and she's hilarious. And those words, Cajun Sparkle, are magic words, and if anyone says them, then she starts laughing hysterically for like 20 minutes. And so if I think of Cajun Sparkle, then I can just hear her laugh, and it makes me so happy. So, if I ever get down, I just sprinkle a little Cajun Sparkle on it, and it's all good. So, Ravanna, Cajun Sparkle. Oh, jeez.
Callie, I love it. Cajun Sparkle. Tell us where that came from. Was that a phrase you came up with out there? Is it something you've used prior? What is it? And explain it to us.
Yeah, so that's something that's happened before I was out there in the Arctic with my sister Ravanna. It's her thing. She came up with it from a family friend of ours. They just have this joke about Cajun Sparkle, and every time anyone says it, she will just bust up hysterically, and will even will like yell it across camp, and she'll just hear her laughing. And so out there, it was something that I would think about, and I could just hear her laughter in my mind, and it always brought a smile to my face. So it's like it became a little secret words for me to just boost my morale. And it kind of reminds me of Britt, when you did that dance of your son. You were just cracking up about how your son danced. It's like you have these little memories that just bring you joy, and they're gold out there. Having something like that is gold. Yeah,
okay, so this final question, I'm going to send it over to all three of you individually. The question comes from John Joni. What was the worst part of the experience? Britt, I'll start with you.
The worst part of the experience, I don't think there was a worst part. I mean, I really enjoyed all aspects, and in retrospect, even the suffering, bettered me. I can't really say anything that was bad about anything from beginning to end. It was fantastic. I can't.
Nice. Jordan, anything stand out in your mind as just being awful?
It wasn't fun having when they stole that little jug of fat. I was pretty annoyed. No, but yeah, so after I got the first Wolverine, I kind of pictured them being solitary animals, and I'd only ever seen one at a time. And so then I was sitting over there frying up some meat, just like, man, this is awesome. Now I just got to eat my meat and have a good time and da-da-da. And then I heard off in the woods, whatever that crazy Wolverine sound is.
Right.
No way. Like, try to tell myself, I think I just imagined that. Yeah, right? And then you're like, no, that really was another Wolverine. Dang it. And then, so, I remember thinking that, and that was annoying. I knew I was going to have a whole nother ordeal go down. So, not that I was terrible, but I, like Britt, had a really positive experience in it. I can't say anything was horrible. You have up and downs and things that get annoying, but that I remember sitting there and that being a moment where I was like, no way, there's a second one. Dang it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Callie, I can probably predict your answer to this question, but in terms of just there being a real negative or bad part of the experience for you?
I feel kind of maybe similar to Brett, that I don't feel anything was just pure bad. I feel like even the challenging hard things have a silver lining or a lesson in them. Right. Even if you have to be back home to finally realize what that lesson is. But my biggest challenge was the cold, most definitely the cold, and specifically trying to mess with the camera equipment in the extreme cold, because it was so cold. The batteries didn't hold a charge, the cameras didn't work, the screens would be iced over, and I couldn't get the ice off of the camera screen and or the lens, and so that became really frustrating because it was so cold and there was so much I needed to do just to maintain my own body temperature, but I'm like messing around, letting my fingers get freezing while I'm trying to fix the camera and keep changing batteries because none of them have a charge because it's in the extreme negatives. So that dealing with the cameras in extreme cold became a huge challenge for me.
Perfect. There it is. Thank you for that. Well, listen, gang, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. Thank you very much. Britt, Jordan, Callie, all of you. I appreciate your time. And for all of you at home, you got to tune in. The 3-hour season finale of Alone $1 Million Challenge is coming up at 8/7 Central. Will someone make it all the way to 100 days and take home the $1 million? Thanks again, guys, for joining me. All of you at home, tune in. You got to see this. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Colby.
See you guys.
We're entering full-blown whiteout conditions right now.
On the season finale of Alone,
I'm just way too cold to spend more time out there.
3 people remain.
I'm worried that it might be frostbite.
Who will last 100 days
It's gonna be deadly cold tonight.
and win the $1 million prize?
We're running out of options here pretty fast.
Don't miss Alone, the $1 Million Challenge. Season finale, Thursday, August 20th at 8, right